Do you ever feel anxious, wired, or like your brain just won't stop? Maybe you keep trying to focus but end up feeling overwhelmed by distractions. Or small things stress you out during the day, leaving you feeling tense or agitated. Or you keep on planning to take action on tasks but somehow you always end up back on your phone, scrolling and feeling drained. If this sounds familiar, it might be because your nervous system is dysregulated. And so in this video, I'm going to explain to you why regulating your nervous system is so important and the 3 things that I removed from my life that helped me to reset it, take back control, and bring in more calm and clarity to my life. So let's briefly talk about why regulating your nervous system is so important. But your brain and body are designed to react automatically and appropriately to challenges in your environment. For example, if you suddenly encountered a bear on your walk, you wouldn't need to consciously decide to be afraid or figure out how to run, but your body would do it automatically. Suddenly your heart would beat faster, adrenaline would surge into your bloodstream, and your muscles would get ready to move quickly. Your nervous system is constantly sending signals to your brain and body, helping you to respond to what's happening around you so that you can notice potential threats and stay safe. And so when everything is working normally, your nervous system knows when to be calm and when to be alert. However, in today's modern world, it's become all too easy for our nervous systems to fall out of balance. Things like deadlines, financial pressure, family responsibilities, relationship issues, low self-esteem, or constant demands can all trigger your body's stress response. And that's because your nervous system sometimes perceives everyday stress as a form of danger. And so your brain activates survival mode, your body releases stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, and this can keep you in a heightened state of stress. Now here's the interesting part, but when your nervous system is in a stressful state for a long time, it actually begins to get used to it. And over time, that wired feeling can start to feel normal to you. This is why, even when you know doing something relaxing, like maybe going for a walk or taking a quiet moment away from your phone, might make you feel better, you might still choose the overstimulating option, like scrolling for hours or falling back into old patterns. That's because your brain craves familiarity. It prefers routines and how things usually feel. And so if your nervous system has been used to operating in high alert, now slower and calmer activities may initially feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar. However, the good news is that you can reset your nervous system and shift from stress back into calm. And when you do that, you send a signal to your brain and body that you are safe, making it much easier to relax, feel at peace, and think more clearly. And so this leads me to the first thing I removed from my life to reset my nervous system, and that is caffeine. Caffeine is such a normal part of our culture that most of us don't even question it. It's just something we do, right? We wake up in the morning and we grab a coffee, we might meet our friend for a latte, or anytime we hit a tired slump in the afternoon, we reach for another cup to get us through the day. However, I think a lot of us forget that caffeine is still a stimulant, and it works by blocking certain receptors in your brain that signal to your body it's time to rest. In other words, caffeine is actively stimulating your nervous system into a more alert state. And I think a big problem that many people face today is that we use caffeine to disguise our poor sleep. For example, maybe you stay up late scrolling on your phone, want to watch another Netflix episode, or mindlessly watch YouTube videos late into the night, which means the next day that caffeine becomes the quick fix to disguise your tiredness and help you push through the day. However, over time, this creates a vicious cycle that isn't very sustainable, because instead of giving your brain and body the rest and recovery that it actually needs, you're constantly running on borrowed energy. Your body's natural rhythm starts to fall out of balance. You begin to build up a sleep debt, and over time, this prevents your nervous system from getting the downtime that it needs. And so even though caffeine might make you feel awake and focused in the short term, in the long term, too much of it can actually fuel your stress response and keep you in survival mode. Another thing to be aware of is that caffeine has a half-life of around 5 to 7 hours, which means that 6 hours later, after drinking a cup of coffee, half of that caffeine is still active in your body. So let's say you have a coffee at 4 p.m. Well, at 10 p.m. at night, that caffeine is still stimulating your nervous system even when you're trying to wind down for bed. And so one simple rule I like to follow is to stop drinking caffeine after midday. Now, I'm not saying that you need to quit caffeine completely. Maybe for you, 1 cup of coffee in the morning doesn't affect you much, or it's your pride and joy of the day. But the point I'm trying to make is just to become more aware of how much caffeine you are consuming and notice how it really makes you feel. It might be worth doing a caffeine detox or doing a 14-day break just to see if there are any differences in yourself. Personally, caffeine used to make me feel quite anxious, and I used to have an energy crash later in the day. But the interesting thing is, I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I had a break from it. Like I said before, sometimes your body and brain gets used to being in this high alertness mode all the time, and so sometimes you need to take a break from things to truly realize how different you feel. Overall, by being more mindful of your caffeine intake and prioritizing good quality sleep, you reduce overstimulation to your nervous system and give your brain and body the chance to properly rest and recover. The second thing I removed from my life is constant phone stimulation. Now, I talk about this a lot on my channel, and for those who already follow me, I'm sorry for my constant repetition, but I'm gonna keep singing this until the cows come home, because most people simply don't do this. The truth is, when you start depending on your phone every single day, picking it up every quiet moment, watching something while you eat, or just constantly consuming content, this keeps your mind always active. And over time, this keeps your nervous system on high alert, making it much harder to truly relax, to focus deeply, or just be present. And so here are a few hacks that I've implemented into my life that have helped me go from a screen time of 9 hours a day down to only 30 minutes a day. Number 1, charging my phone across the room. This sounds simple, but it is a powerful habit, because by removing your phone from your bed, you remove the temptation to go on it in the morning or late at night. Number 2, when focusing or studying, I put my phone in a drawer or across the room. By keeping your phone out of sight and out of reach when you're focusing on important tasks, this removes the temptation to pick it up, and so this protects your attention and your focus. I've also worked with people who were struggling for months to be productive, and they were constantly distracted at work. And all we did was move the phone to a different environment, and suddenly their performance and focus improved dramatically. So please do not underestimate the power of this simple shift. Number 3, keeping a minimal setup on my phone. Personally, I don't have any social media apps on my phone, but I only use it for basic tasks like messaging, camera, banking, or other essential functions. If I want to use social media such as YouTube, well, I allow myself to use the desktop version. But by keeping a simple setup on my phone, I've removed the temptation of constant distraction, and this makes it much easier for me to stay focused and present on what truly matters. Number 4, notifications off. One hack I use is to favorite my important family and friends, so that if they contact me, I'll hear their message or call. But otherwise than that, I turn all notifications off. I personally think it's so unnecessary to be alerted for everything happening on your phone, and all of these notifications or sounds or alerts is only going to keep your mind constantly distracted, and so that's going to prevent you from being at peace or being able to truly relax into your life. Also, if your phone is preventing you from taking action on your goals, building up habits, or staying focused on what really matters, then click the link in the description to learn how I've helped people cut their screen time by 50% or more in less than 30 days and reclaim 20 plus hours every week so that you can invest that time back into yourself. Now, the third thing that I removed from my life to reset my nervous system is overscheduling. I have to be honest, I know so many people who are constantly stressed, busy, or on the go, and yet the minute they're asked to work overtime, or their friends want to see them, or someone needs a favor from them, they always say yes. And look, I get it, because I used to be that person too. And oftentimes when we say yes to things, maybe we're trying to be nice, or we're trying to be helpful, or we're just not thinking about the consequences. However, if you don't learn how to protect your time and make yourself a priority, then other people will naturally fill that space with their own demands. And that's not malicious, but it's just life. You have to understand that people only see life from their own perspective, and so they have a limited understanding of your world, which means that even if they know you're busy, or you have other responsibilities. They still might expect your time, your energy, or your presence, without fully realizing that your mental energy and bandwidth are limited. And so you are the only one who knows your energy and your limits, which means that it is your responsibility to be the protector of your time. Saying no to things isn't selfish, but it is essential for your mental health and giving your nervous system a chance to reset. Because when you carve out space for yourself, whether it's to take time to rest, pursue a hobby, or just do something that genuinely brings you joy, you give your brain and body a chance to recharge, repair, and regulate your stress hormones. And ironically, when you invest back into yourself, you end up being able to give way more to others. Because now you can show up fully present, patient, and generous, instead of being exhausted, drained, or resentful. And so here's something I do. When I get invited somewhere or someone wants to do something, instead of immediately answering yes or no, I say, let me get back to you. I'll check my schedule and I'll let you know. This way, you're not immediately shutting someone down or making a commitment, but you're giving yourself the space to truly ask, do I have the time and energy to do this? This pause gives you a chance to tune into how you feel, look at your other commitments, and ask yourself, what do I really need? And if you have the energy and space, then that's great, go ahead. But if you notice that you're already exhausted, drained, or constantly on the go, then maybe it's better to rearrange, suggest a new date, or just simply say no. Part of regulating your nervous system is all about making yourself a priority. It's about protecting your time, setting boundaries, and giving yourself the permission to rest and recharge. Remember, you can't show up as your best self if your cup is always empty, so make sure filling it up is always a non-negotiable. Click here to learn what happened after I meditated for 2 hours every day for 30 days, and I hope this video helped you. All the best.